The Chui clan had 2 daughters. Their fame resounded throughout the capital. After their coming-of-age ceremony, an imperial edict arrived from the palace. One of the 2 ladies of the Chui clan was to enter the palace to serve the emperor and empress, while the other was to marry into the eastern palace as the crown prince's concubine. My elder half-sister naturally chose the former. After all, a crown prince's concubine is just a concubine. How can she compare to the dignity of a princess? Who would have thought that later the princess, she, would be sent on a marriage alliance 1,000 miles away in tears, while I would be favored above all others in the eastern palace and eventually elevated to empress after the crown prince ascended the throne. My elder half-sister hated me so much she wept blood, then plunged a dagger into me, seeking mutual destruction. When I opened my eyes again, we had both been reborn. This time, she snatched the edict appointing the crown prince's concubine first. My younger sister is gentle and docile. She will surely win the emperor and empress's favor. Let her take the position of this golden and jade-like noble princess. I smiled. A marriage alliance is arduous, but the Eastern Palace is truly a hell on earth. Moreover, the borderlands are guarded by millions of elite troops. Isn't this overwhelming military power, delivered right to my hands, more tempting than being a luxurious caged bird? Welcome to listen to the ancient Chinese romance story. I'm the blogger and I'm Whispers of Phoenix. Now let's start the main story. When my elder half-sister quickly snatched the second edict and spoke those words, I knew she had also been reborn. After all, she had never said anything like that in her previous life. We sisters were around the same age. In our previous life, after our coming-of-age ceremony, father brought back 2 edicts from the palace. My elder half-sister couldn't wait to choose the first one, her delicate face beaming with joy. After all, a crown prince's concubine is just a concubine. How can she compare to the dignity of a princess? You were born of a concubine, younger sister. Though we share the same fame, there is ultimately a difference between nobility and inferiority. With your status, even being the crown prince's concubine is an elevation. But this time, she grabbed the second edict without hesitation, her voice cold and clear. My younger sister is gentle and docile. She will surely win the emperor and empress's favor. Let her take the position of this golden and jade-like noble princess. Before I could speak, my legal mother widened her eyes in disbelief. Mingyue, do you know what you're saying? Mother, I am the elder sister. It is only right for an elder sister to yield to her younger sister. Daughter has heard that the crown prince is gentle and elegant. He is surely a good husband. After I marry him, we will live in harmony, and it will become a beautiful story. My elder half-sister took our legal mother's arm and cooed softly, acting coquettishly. My legal mother still looked worried. Mingyue is the legitimate daughter of the prime minister's mansion. She is even worthy of being the crown prince's principal wife. This position of concubine truly wrongs her. There will be no principal wife, my elder half-sister said with unshakable certainty. Mother, after I enter the Eastern Palace, I will surely win the crown prince's favor. Not to mention, when the crown prince ascends the throne in the future, I will be even more. Her eyes shone brightly, as if she could already see a beautiful future ahead. Very well. Since Mingyue has made up her mind, we will do as she wishes. Shuxing, do you have any thoughts? My legal mother nodded, then turned to me and asked. Daughter will obey mother's decision entirely. I lowered my eyes and adopted a docile posture, just as I had in my previous life. Though the 2 ladies of the Chui clan were famous throughout the capital, my elder half-sister was right. I was just a concubine's daughter registered under my legal mother's name. How could I possibly have a choice? As I exited the main courtyard, I faintly heard my legal mother muttering in a low voice. Chui Shuxing is nothing but a concubine's daughter. Letting her enter the palace as a princess, it really angers me. A princess? My elder half-sister sneered. Just wait and see, mother. In a few days she will be crying her eyes out. As for me, marrying into the Eastern Palace this time, I will be the future empress, ruling over all the people with the dignity of a mother. It is an incomparable honor. I curled my lips into a silent sneer. Ruling over all the people with the dignity of a mother? I truly hoped that when she fulfilled her wish of becoming empress, she could still smile as brightly as she did today. In my previous life, I had also been full of expectations for marrying into the Eastern Palace. Privately, I thought that even as a concubine, if I didn't fight for favor and just lived my own life, it would be enough. But after marriage, I gradually discovered that the crown prince, who appeared gentle and elegant in front of others, was a completely different person behind closed doors. He was lecherous, tyrannical, and accepting of bribes. He even dared to embezzle the military rations sent to the front lines. No wonder the borderlands suffered one defeat after another, ultimately leading to the need to send a princess for a marriage alliance. He even built an underground arena in the capital. Those who refused to submit to him would be abducted there, reduced to fighting beasts for entertainment, never to see the light of day again. Furthermore, the white moonlight he cherished wholeheartedly was actually his own father's concubine Wan. Later, when the emperor passed away, concubine Wan became dowager concubine Wan. The two carried on their illicit affair without restraint. Ridiculously, dowager concubine Wan even became pregnant. Without hesitation, he had me tied up and ordered his private guards to enter my room one by one, just so that I would become pregnant soon. Once I gave birth, my child could be swapped with dowager concubine Wan's. I cried and begged him to show a shred of conscience and spare me, but he smiled maliciously. Be good. As long as you obey, you will always be my empress. The empress, who ruled over all the people with the dignity of a mother, was covered in bruises every night, naked and helpless, unable to live, yet also unable to die. I soon became pregnant, but I had no idea who the father was. All the favor that my elder half-sister witnessed from afar was nothing but a fig leaf covering up this filth. The Eastern Palace was never a paradise. Just like in my previous life, the edict conferring the title of princess arrived at the Chui mansion first, appointing me as Princess Yongchang, meaning to pray for the eternal prosperity of the great Zhao dynasty. Nanny Zhang, the empress's personal maid, came in person to dress my hair and brought rich rewards. Your Highness has a full forehead and bright, lively eyes. You are clearly blessed, Nanny Zhang said with a smile as she inserted an East pearl hairpin with pendants into my bun. The East pearls sparkled, shining brightly among my jet black hair, making my features even more delicate and beautiful. Thank you, Nanny. But East pearls are extremely precious. I am afraid I am not worthy of such a treasure. Your Highness need not worry, Nanny Zhang replied. The Empress bestowed this upon you out of her kindness. I was about to thank her when my elder half-sister's voice came from outside the door. Relax, younger sister. It's just an East pearl. Being so petty, if you enter the palace like this, people will think our Prime Minister's mansion mistreats concubines' daughters. I looked up. My elder half-sister was smiling, but her expression was filled with blatant contempt. You are right, elder sister. I will remember your teachings, I said. I was born into a humble background, unlike you, who has seen so much of the world that even East pearls are commonplace. That's only natural. A mere East pearl. She looked arrogant, but her words abruptly stopped when she saw Nanny Zhang. Nanny Zhang's face turned livid, her eyes blazing with anger. According to the regulations of our dynasty, East pearls could only be worn by the Empress, legitimate princesses, and the Crown Prince's principal wife. In her previous life, she had been adopted by the Empress, so she was accustomed to East pearls. But now, she was just the daughter of a minister. Saying such things was clearly an overstep of her bounds. Nanny Zhang, I didn't mean it that way. I meant that a mere East pearl is nothing. Once younger sister enters the Empress's palace, she will see plenty more. My elder half-sister was flustered and angry, hastily changing her words to explain to Nanny Zhang. But a maid beside Nanny Zhang reached out and stopped her. In front of Her Highness the Princess, please let Miss Chui perform the salutation ceremony first. What kind of nobody are you to dare stop me? My elder half-sister frowned at the maid. Do you not know about the imperial edict betrothing me to the crown prince? Miss Chui, the crown prince's principal wife, does not need to salute the princess, but the crown prince's concubine must. Moreover, Miss Chui has not yet married into the Eastern Palace. Nanny Zhang's gaze was sharp, her voice calm and steady. Is this how the Prime Minister educates his legitimate daughter? My elder half-sister's face turned ugly. She gritted her teeth and knelt down to salute me. This humble daughter pays homage to Your Highness the Princess. May Your Highness be blessed with boundless fortune and peace. You need not be so formal, elder sister. I smiled sincerely. It was quite rare to see her able to bend and stretch like this. In her previous life, after she snatched the position of princess, she traveled with a large retinue, putting on great airs. When she saw me, she was even more arrogant. See that? These are East pearls specially given to me by my mother the Empress. This is something you will never be worthy of in your entire life. I never really understood why she hated me so much. From childhood to adulthood, I had been cautious and careful, yielding to her in everything. I never dared to touch anything she liked. But the more I did so, the more harshly she treated me. It wasn't until she plunged a dagger into my heart, her face contorted with ferocity as she looked at me. Your mother was a lowly servant who climbed into men's beds. You were born even more lowly than her. How ridiculous, people call you and me the two ladies of the Chui clan. What right do you have to share the same fame as me? Why do you deserve to live better than me? As I took my last breath, I finally understood. In her eyes, my very existence was a sin. A few days later, the imperial edict betrothing my elder half-sister to the crown prince arrived as scheduled. Unlike in my previous life, this time the emperor personally told father that the legitimate daughter of the Chui clan was born of noble lineage. If she gave birth to a son after marrying into the Eastern Palace, she would be appointed as the crown prince's principal wife. My legal mother was overjoyed and repeatedly urged, Mingyue, you must win the crown prince's heart, give birth to a royal heir as soon as possible, and become the crown prince's principal wife. Do not waste the days I spent begging the empress on your behalf. My elder half-sister was even more delighted. She immediately arranged for the mansion's physicians to regulate her health, and even added many medicines to aid conception and prevent miscarriage to her dowry list. By then, I had already moved into the palace to live. When my maid told me all this, I smiled. A royal heir? She was really thinking too much. On the day my elder half-sister happily married into the Eastern Palace, I took the initiative to meet the emperor in the imperial study. On the golden Namma desk, piles of military reports of defeats were stacked high. Your son/daughter is deeply grateful for the great kindness of Father Emperor and Mother Empress, enjoying the dignity of a princess and being supported by the entire nation. I am filled with anxiety, fearing I cannot repay this kindness. Now the country is not at peace. I am willing to offer myself in a marriage alliance with Mashi to ensure the eternal prosperity of the great Zhao dynasty. The emperor's temples were gray with age. He looked down at me for a long time before slowly saying, What do you want? This was the natural demeanor of a ruler, weighing the pros and cons in everything. I knelt deeply. I have heard that the climate and customs of Mashi are vastly different from those of the capital. If Father Emperor pities me, I wish to have some precious medicinal herbs prepared for unexpected needs. Very well. I grant your request, Yongchang. You truly understand my heart. The next day, the edict conferring upon me the title of Princess Guogu, princess who stabilizes the nation, was proclaimed to the world, and I would soon depart for the marriage alliance with Mashi. For a time, the entire city was talking about Princess Yongchang's great love for the nation. The people gathered at the palace gate, shouting long live the princess. It was on the second day of her wedding that my elder half-sister entered the palace to thank the emperor and empress. Her sedan chair departed from the Eastern Palace and traveled all the way to the Imperial Palace, with the people's shouts echoing in her ears. After entering the palace, she couldn't wait to find me. So what if you're Princess Guogu? It's just a nice-sounding title. No matter how glorious you are, you're just a plaything sent to curry favor with the barbarians. She was dressed in magnificent attire today, exuding nobility, but her eyes looked at me with venom and resentment. After all, in her previous life, when she was sent on the marriage alliance, she had not been conferred the title of Princess Guogu, nor had she received such a grand welcome from the entire city. At that time she cried and made a scene, but it was all in vain. In the end, she even stopped father after the court session outside the Golden Luan Hall. Father, please save me. I don't want to go on the marriage alliance. Let Chui Shuxing go instead. I want to marry the crown prince. Father was a high-ranking minister, and the road after the court session was surrounded by his colleagues. My elder half-sister's improper words and deeds humiliated him greatly. He said coldly on the spot, Your Highness, you are mistaken. A marriage alliance fosters friendship between two nations and brings peace to the people. It is a great act of righteousness. I led her to a pavilion in the imperial garden. The pavilion was located on a high ground, and the dense shade of the trees covered our figures completely. Of course, it's not as good as elder sister monopolizing the crown prince's favor in the Eastern Palace. I smiled at her, noticing the faint traces of intimacy on her fair neck. The crown prince dotes on me, so I naturally have to work harder, she said, her eyes filled with tender affection when mentioning the favor. As the crown prince's concubine, serving my husband is my top priority. It's just a pity for you, younger sister, marrying so far away to Mashi. The king of Mashi has countless women. I'm afraid you will rarely receive any favor. Especially his concubine, Ning Yuer. She is from a prominent clan in Mashi and is extremely vicious and jealous. Guess what will happen if you steal her favor? I pretended to be confused. How does elder sister know so much? She smiled proudly, narrowed her eyes and approached me. In any case, this time I will be the empress after the crown prince ascends the throne. You can spend your days suffering in that barbaric land. I pursed my lips and said nothing. I heard faint footsteps approaching from below. Beneath the pavilion was a rockery with winding paths. It seemed someone had entered the rockery. Your Highness has just married. Have you already forgotten about your concubine? You little rascal. You know full well that my heart only belongs to you, a man's voice replied. Those other mediocre women, how can they compare to you? Come to me quickly. I've missed you so much. You scoundrel, your Highness. Be gentle. The rustling sound of undressing followed, and then came the lewd sounds of a man and a woman engaging in intimacy, explicit and bold, utterly unbearable to hear. My elder half-sister's face turned deathly pale in an instant. She staggered, almost unable to stand. After a long while, two figures emerged from the rockery, one after another. The man was, as expected, the crown prince. The woman was actually the emperor's concubine, Wan. At this moment her face was flushed, her hair disheveled, looking especially delicate and charming. I turned to look at my elder half-sister. She bit her lower lip so hard that it almost bled, and her fingers dug into her palms. After the two of them walked away, she raised her hand to slap me. Bitch! You deliberately brought me here to see this, didn't you? You knew all along. I grabbed her wrist tightly, smiling boldly and maliciously. Elder sister, do you think you made an even worse choice this time? Panic gradually filled her eyes. I let go of her hand, and she collapsed to the ground, all her previous arrogance and complacency gone. Half a month later, I embarked on the journey to Mashi for the marriage alliance. The first time I met Juye, the king of Mashi, he was surrounded by beautiful women, looking at me with a mixture of curiosity and inquiry. She sends herself to stabilize the nation, yet no one knows where to use the general. That's what you people of Great Zhao say, isn't it, beautiful princess of Great Zhao? The nobles of Mashi burst into laughter. I ignored them and bowed gracefully to him. I have traveled 1,000 miles to come here. I wish to dance a dance for the bravest king in Mashi. My red dress fluttered like fire, and my jet-black hair flowed like a waterfall. This dance was both gentle and passionate. The nobles present all looked amazed. Juye held a wine cup in one hand and tapped the table lightly with the other, a playful smile on his lips. I spun around with the dance steps and approached him, taking the initiative to lean into his arms. He immediately pushed the dancer in his arms away, pulled me close and raised the wine cup to my lips. I drank it all in one gulp. He smiled. Very well, Princess of Great Zhao. I like you very much. As I had expected, I became his new favorite, temporarily establishing a foothold in the Mashi Palace. I had heard of Juye in my previous life. He was the youngest king in Mashi's history, but also the one who expanded his territory the fastest. His iron-fisted methods and ambitious aspirations were evident to all. Everyone thought that his interest in me was just a passing fancy, but for 3 consecutive months, my favor remained unshaken. In my previous life, when my elder half-sister first arrived in Mashi, she had also briefly attracted Juye's interest, but she was arrogant about her status and refused to condescend. She cried all day long and soon lost his favor. As for me, I always smiled at him, every move intended to please him. He was indeed very pleased, taking me with him day and night. The other concubines in the harem were green with envy, but they did not dare to openly provoke me because I monopolized the king's favor. However, there was one exception, Juye's concubine, Ning Yuer. She was backed by the powerful Ning clan of Mashi, and was the most promising candidate to become the queen. She made no secret of her dislike for me, even rolling her eyes at me in public during a palace banquet. Did Great Zhao send a princess of a nation or a courtesan? They say Mashi women are open, but I think we are far inferior to this princess of Great Zhao. I didn't care at all. Instead, I snuggled into Juye's arms, wrapped my arms tightly around his neck, and acted like a favored concubine. As long as the king likes me, what does it matter what I am? She was so angry that she clenched her wine cup tightly. Julia laughed loudly and hugged me even closer. My beloved concubine is absolutely right. That night, Julia seemed to be in an extremely good mood. Soft kisses fell on me, conquering my lips like a general capturing a city, as if he wanted to merge me into his flesh and blood. I tried my best to cater to him, soaring to the clouds and then suddenly plunging into the deep sea. Amidst my rapid gasps, I vaguely heard him ask, "Are you afraid that the Ning clan will kill you?" I kissed his neck, my warm breath lingering in his ear. Will the king protect me? After staying by his side for several months, I had already thoroughly understood the situation in Mashi. Juillet was brave and skilled in battle, a complete ambitious man. Under his rule, Mashi also had an old-school faction. Unlike Juillet's radicalism, they were more conservative and preferred to live in peace. This faction was led by the Ning clan. The Ning clan obstructed Juillet at every turn in the court, yet still tried to make their daughter the queen of Juillet. Even I could see that Juillet disliked Ningguer, and had endured the Ning clan for a long time. His raising me up as a favored concubine was undoubtedly an attempt to use me to suppress the Ning clan's arrogance. And I, of course, would not disappoint him. So when we were lost in passion, I lay on Juillet's chest, looking at him with tender eyes, and whispered, "The king is my heaven, and also the heaven of this grassland." He was slightly stunned, then changed his rhythm, his hands gripping my waist even tighter as he replied in a deep voice, "You little thing is so lovely. How could I bear to let anyone hurt you?" I knew he understood my hidden meaning, and was willing to give me a chance to pledge my loyalty. In the blink of an eye, autumn arrived, and Mashi ushered in its annual autumn hunt. The people of Mashi regarded themselves as children of the grassland, and riding and archery were the foundation of their nation. If any clan could stand out in the autumn hunt, their status in Mashi would soar. After the morning session, Juillet was far ahead as expected, winning the first prize. He was already handsome, and now with his bold smile, he looked even more high-spirited. Ningguer beside him looked at him with almost obsessed eyes. A thought crossed my mind. When he rode his horse over, I took the initiative to reach out my hand. He immediately understood, pulling me onto the horse's back in one swift motion. I leaned against his chest, drew my bow, and shot an arrow, successfully hitting a small rabbit steadily. "Well done." He was the first to applaud, a proud look on his face. Truly worthy of being my woman. Ningguer's smile froze instantly, her face turning ugly. I took the initiative to call out to her. "I have heard that concubine Ning is from the strongest tribe in Mashi. You must be heroic and valiant. Would you dare to compete with me?" She sneered as if hearing the funniest joke. "You? Compete with me? You can set the rules. Let's compete in hunting. Half an hour. Whoever catches more prey wins." "Very well. If you win, I, Ningguer, will willingly obey your orders for the rest of my life. If you lose, I will chop you into pieces to feed my horse." Juillet looked at me in surprise. I kissed his lips to reassure him. The nobles were all talking, most of them thinking I was overestimating my abilities. After all, women of Great Zhao were raised in deep boudoirs. Even noble ladies might learn equestrian skills and archery, but how could their superficial skills compare to the grassland daughters who grew up on horseback? The Ning clan was even more elated, as if they had already secured victory. Some members of the Ning clan even whistled and took the opportunity to speak to Juillet. "Your Majesty, if concubine Ning wins a great victory, we beg you to confer upon her the title of queen. The Mashi grassland needs a brave king, and also a bold queen." At the sound of the signal, Ningguer and I set off at the same time. The wind roared in my ears. I focused my gaze, drawing my bow and shooting arrows smoothly, hitting several small rabbits and lambs in a row. The nobles' expressions changed slightly, seemingly not expecting that I was not just putting on a show. Juillet showed a faint smile. Ningguer became ruthless, raised her whip, and rushed into the depths of the hunting ground. "Bitch! Dare you follow me into the deep forest to compete? Or are you only capable of hunting such helpless lambs?" "I'd be happy to." I followed closely behind, galloping into the depths. In a place out of everyone's sight, I changed my usual demeanor and took the initiative to provoke her. "Did you see your father's face? He thought you were going to win, so he had the audacity to ask the king to make you queen. What do you think will happen to your entire clan's face if you lose?" "TSK TSK TSK, losing to a tribute princess sent by a defeated nation. You might as well hang yourself with a rope. It's hilarious. Can't anyone in your family see it? The king doesn't like you at all. Giving you the position of concubine is already an elevation. Let me guess. Has the king not favored you for a long time? It's no wonder. You're neither gentle nor beautiful. You only rely on your family background to force men to marry you. What man would like that? Marrying you is just keeping a decoration. Hatred flashed in her eyes, and her hands gripping the bow and arrow turned white with tension. She slowly raised her bow and arrow aiming at me, her eyes red with anger. Bitch! What nonsense are you talking about? Say one more word and I'll kill you. Kill me? Do you dare? Besides, do you really think that killing me will make the king like you? How ridiculous. She was completely enraged by me, her expression frantic, having lost all reason. I immediately turned around and galloped away on my horse. Just as I was about to rush out of the deep forest, a sharp arrow shot through the air, piercing straight into my left shoulder. Blood spread across my clothes like a fiery flower. I fell off the horseback and onto the ground. In the last moment before my vision blurred, I saw Juillet looking panicked, rushing towards me as fast as he could. When I woke up again, I had become the highest-ranking concubine. Ningguer had shot the king's favored concubine in front of everyone, so she was immediately thrown into prison. The Ning clan begged for mercy but to no avail. Enraged, they launched a rebellion. They proclaimed, "The king has been bewitched by a demon concubine, harming his own clansmen. He is unfit to rule Mashi." Juillet had been waiting for this day for a long time. In just one night he crushed the entire Ning clan with overwhelming force. Taking advantage of this rebellion, he purged his political enemies and warned other clans, achieving multiple goals with one stroke. Now Mashi was as solid as a rock from top to bottom, completely under Juillet's control. The favor I received was even greater than before. The position of queen was vacant. Now that I held a high rank and enjoyed the king's favor, the concubines who had secretly looked down on me before now bowed to me humbly. If I had relied on my beauty to gain a foothold in Mashi before, now that I had helped Juillet eliminate a major threat, I had truly gained his respect. But this was far from enough. I went to the prison to see Ningguer. Now she was a prisoner, her face covered in dirt, no longer having the arrogance of the past. When she saw me, deep hatred suddenly flashed in her eyes. "You've come to laugh at me, haven't you? Don't dream. I lost to you today because I was careless. If I ever get out, I'll hack you into pieces, making you pay for the destruction of my entire clan." I smiled softly, leaning closer to her. "How could you ever get out? Tonight, the king will hold a grand celebration banquet. The rebellion was quelled so smoothly. Naturally, we must celebrate properly. Oh, and he will also confer upon me the title of the new queen." Her eyes turned red, tears filling them but refusing to fall. I leaned closer to her and whispered, "Do you know why your Ning clan was destroyed? As ministers, you tried to control the monarch. This is digging your own grave, and even gods cannot save you. If I am the knife that kills with borrowed hands, then who is the one holding the knife?" She widened her eyes suddenly, staring at me as if struck by lightning. I said no more and turned to leave. That night, singing and dancing filled the air in the Mashi Palace as a grand celebration feast was held. At the banquet, Juillet was in high spirits, holding me close and drinking cup after cup until the wine pot was soon empty. "Someone bring more wine," he called out, and a maid emerged from the shadows. She held the wine pot but lowered her head deeply, her long hair falling to hide her face, making it impossible to see her features. Juillet frowned, clearly sensing something amiss. "Lift your head." "Yes." The maid approached. Just as she raised her head, she suddenly hurled the wine pot in her hand at Juillet with all her strength. Juillet instinctively reached out to block it, and the wine pot shattered into pieces on the ground. But the maid pulled a dagger from her sleeve, its cold light piercing. With Juillet's vision obscured by the wine pot shards, he had no time to defend himself. "Your Majesty, look out." At the critical moment, I threw myself in front of Juillet. The dagger sliced through my robe and stabbed into my shoulder. I cried out in pain and fell to the ground. Juillet quickly caught me, then kicked the maid away with one foot. Guards swarmed around her, and it turned out to be Ningguer. Her eyes blazed with hatred, looking ready to die. "You are not worthy to be the king of Mashi. I will kill you even if I die." Juillet glanced at her indifferently, then carried me carefully and left in a hurry, his steps urgent yet tinged with a hint of panic. Behind us, the guards drew their swords and killed Ningyue with a single strike. Thankfully, by the grace of heaven, my wound was not serious this time. Following Juye's repeated instructions, the imperial physician attended to me daily, and I soon recovered, leaving only a faint scar. At night, Juye traced his fingers along the wound little by little, then kissed it gently. His voice was deep and slightly unsteady. "Why were you so foolish?" I held his hand, gazing into his eyes in the darkness. "I would gladly endure it all for you." He closed his eyes and hugged me tightly to his chest. Time flew by and soon it was the end of the year, and I was pregnant. Juye overrode all objections and named me queen at the beginning of the new year. Since ancient times, princesses sent for marriage alliances were mostly concubines, and the position of queen was traditionally reserved for noblewomen of the native clan. Despite the minister's objections and repeated remonstrances, Juye dismissed them all. I knew I had won the bet. A woman who was beautiful enough, intelligent enough, and loved him so much she would risk her life. Few men could resist such a woman. The days of resting during my pregnancy were peaceful and pleasant. I took out the ancient medical books from my dowry and often read them for half the day. Juye teased me, saying that being pregnant had turned me into a female physician. Just as everything was going smoothly for me, news arrived from Great Zhao. The emperor of Great Zhao passed away, and the crown prince ascended the throne in haste. My elder half-sister became the empress. This time the palace coup came a little earlier, and it was different from the previous life. On his deathbed, the late emperor actually ordered the execution of his beloved concubine Wan with his own hands, announcing to the public that she had followed him in death. I was somewhat surprised and thought this matter must be related to my elder half-sister. The envoy reported, "The late emperor has passed away, and the crown prince has ascended the throne. By order of the new emperor, I invite the king of Mashi and the queen to come pay homage to him." The audience was scheduled for a month later. Juye became increasingly busy, so much so that I barely saw him. Great Zhao was in turmoil and Juye, with his ambitious aspirations, was determined to unify the world. I vaguely guessed what he was busy with. Sure enough, that night, half-drunk, he tentatively asked me, "The soldiers of Mashi under my command are invincible, elite iron cavalry. In the queen's opinion, which country should we attack first?" I dipped my finger in wine and gently traced the character Zhao, Zhao dynasty, in his palm. This place is wealthy, vast, and abundant in resources. Most importantly, the new monarch is muddle-headed, and the court is in chaos. Why doesn't your majesty seize the opportunity to replace him? He raised his eyes, his gaze meaningful. Attacking Great Zhao is indeed the best strategy now, but my queen is a princess of Great Zhao. Would you bear to see me conquer the capital of Great Zhao? I took his hand and placed it on my slightly swollen belly, speaking gently. When a woman marries, she follows her husband. As the queen of Mashi, I naturally know the difference between close and distant, inner and outer. He stroked my belly carefully. The physician said your pregnancy is stable. There must be a strong little prince in your belly. Once I conquer the world, I will let him. I pouted playfully. If it's a little princess, will your majesty not like her? A princess would be even better. He quickly shook his head, a hint of worry in his eyes. My princess deserves to be supported by the entire world. But war is never certain. I am not afraid of dying on the battlefield. I only fear leaving you. I covered his mouth. Your majesty is heroic and talented. I have a great gift that can help you compete for the world and fulfill your aspirations. He looked confused. I slowly explained. Your majesty is skilled in warfare. If there are people inside the capital of Great Zhao coordinating with you externally. Based on my memories, I drew up a list. The new emperor of Great Zhao was arbitrary, and besides his sycophants, he had made many political enemies in the court. A bright light suddenly lit up in Juye's eyes. In my previous life, I was at the mercy of others, like fish on a chopping board. This time I would take a gamble and be the one holding the knife. A month later, I followed Juye back to Shangjing, the capital of Great Zhao, once again. In the Golden Luan Hall, my elder half-sister finally wore the phoenix robe she had long desired, standing beside the new emperor and receiving the homage of all ministers together. After the ceremony, she couldn't wait to send someone to invite me to the empress's palace. Congratulations, elder sister, on fulfilling your wish and ruling over all the people with the dignity of a mother. She reveled in my obedience, her tone brimming with satisfaction. One's status is destined from birth. Even though you were reborn this time, look, in the end it is still me who rules over all the people. She suddenly changed her tone, sneering. I underestimated your ability to please men. After all, you're the daughter of a maid who climbed into men's beds. You actually coaxed that king of Moshi into making you his queen. I did not anger. Instead, I smiled gently. That's not all. Elder sister, do you remember that noble concubine in Moshi? In your letters to me in the previous life you said she was jealous and tyrannical, making your life miserable. But it was by stepping over her dead body that I became the queen of Moshi. She looked shocked, then quickly masked it, snorting coldly. So what if you're the queen of Moshi? You still have to bow before this palace. Speaking of which, when you framed concubine Wan into following the late emperor in death, weren't you afraid of the crown prince's revenge? When I mentioned concubine Wan, she suddenly burst into laughter. That bitch deserved to die. It's a pity that before she died, she was carrying an illegitimate child. The late emperor was furious and ordered 50 heavy lashes to beat the bastard child out of her. After the lashes, the bitch breathed her last. As for revenge, why do you think I still rule over all the people today? Before I could answer, her gaze fell on my swollen belly, her tone feigning sympathy. The child in your belly is also a poor illegitimate creature. He will lose his father before he is even born. I suddenly looked out the window. The originally dark night sky was illuminated by towering flames, and the sounds of battle erupted everywhere. What exactly did you plot with the new emperor? I grabbed her wrist tightly, my voice sharp. She laughed until tears came to her eyes. A mere concubine Wan, so what if she's dead? As long as we can conquer Moshi, this palace will be able to keep the empress's throne forever. That's the deal I made with him. Ha 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 ha, didn't expect it? The Moshi army is not allowed to enter the city. The few dozen guards around you are nothing but trapped turtles in a jar. If you beg for mercy now, this palace might consider leaving you with a whole body. The flames outside grew brighter, and the clash of weapons echoed through the sky, lingering endlessly. I stared at her, saying nothing for a long time. What kind of expression is that? Beg for mercy quickly, or if this palace changes its mind, don't blame me for not showing sisterly affection. I smiled and tilted my head, asking, with just a few dozen guards, why is the battle lasting so long? Her face changed drastically, and she rushed to the window. In the distance, 2 armies were fighting, but as far as the eye could see, the soldiers in iron armor and silver helmets who held an overwhelming advantage were clearly those of Moshi. And their numbers, far from the few dozen guards she had mentioned. How is this possible? How can there be so many people? You clearly only brought. She stared, almost unable to believe her eyes. How else could we lull you into complacency without turning your plan against you? I said calmly. Speaking of which, Great Zhao is truly destined to fall. Right under the emperor's nose, the imperial capital is so easily and quickly breached. The imperial capital of Great Zhao should not have been conquered so quickly and effortlessly. It was all because the new emperor's faction indulged in pleasure, neglecting their duties for a long time from top to bottom. Moreover, the ministers on the list had been preparing for a long time, waiting for today to coordinate with Zhuya internally and externally. Its downfall was inevitable. The color drained from her face, and her body trembled slightly. How dare you rebel? Aren't you afraid of being executed along with your 9 clans? I couldn't help but laugh. Since ancient times, the victor is king and the loser is a bandit. Besides, it's just a change of dynasty. Who will execute my 9 clans? Elder sister, you're truly muddled. She stared at me intently, her eyes filled with countless emotions. Fear, unwillingness, anger. Layer upon layer, finally bursting into a venomous glow. She suddenly pulled out a golden hairpin from her hair and pounced at me. Why? I refused to accept this. I'm not willing. Even if I lose, I'll drag you down with me. I had been on guard and dodged in time. She crashed into the sharp corner of the table, and blood seeped out from her forehead. She looked dazed, muttering, "Yes, I'll kill you. As long as you're dead, I can do it all over again. I will succeed this time, I will definitely." Wake up. You clearly know the new emperor is inherently evil and unfit to be a wise ruler. Why are you so stubborn? I stepped forward and rolled up her sleeve. Sure enough, her emaciated arm was covered in black and blue bruises, a horrific sight. As her scars were exposed, she burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. Who cares about being a wise ruler? I have no way out. After concubine Juan died, he hated me bitterly and even abducted my mother. All of this is your fault. I want you to pay with your life. The tightly closed palace door was kicked open with great force, and a figure rushed over to shield me behind him. It was Julia. He snatched the hairpin from my elder half-sister's hand in a few moves. I never hit women, but you dare to harm my queen. Do you want to die? My elder half-sister stared at him coldly, her tone gloomy. Do you know who you're protecting? A princess of Great Zhao? King of Mashi, haven't you heard? She's just this palace's lowly concubine-born sister. Not a true golden branch and jade leaf princess at all. The dignified queen of Mashi is actually the daughter of a maid who washed feet. Won't that make people laugh their heads off? I was shocked and quickly looked up at Julia, but his expression remained calm, without the slightest ripple. Laugh at my queen? Who in the world dares to laugh? He said in surprise. You people of Great Zhao judge status by birth, but I do not. Besides, I already knew all this before making her my queen. I recognized the person, not a title. He took my hand and turned to walk out the door. My elder half-sister collapsed to the ground, but still shouted at the top of her lungs. King of Mashi, you fell in love with a foreign woman. Aren't you afraid of handing over the country you worked so hard to conquer to others? Julia's steady steps paused for a moment, then resumed. My heart skipped a beat. In one night the sky changed. As dawn broke, the new emperor and his faction had all been imprisoned in the sky prison. Some fugitives were still unwilling to give up, shouting along the streets that the Mashi people had rebelled, trying to incite the people to riot. But the Mashi soldiers moved faster. They immediately demolished the underground arena in the capital, rescuing countless victims trapped inside. The heinous crimes of the new emperor's faction could no longer be concealed. Once exposed, the people were filled with resentment. The family members of the victims shouted with red eyes. The tyrant emperor is cruel and immoral. Everyone has the right to kill him. Whoever saves the people from suffering will have the people's support. The public anger was intense, and their cries were echoed by thousands. Under Julia's strong suppression, he also won the hearts of the people. Before the new emperor and my elder half-sister could await their sentence, they had already died violently in the sky prison. According to the prison guard's report, my elder half-sister was strangled to death by the new emperor. In the past, when the new emperor held great power, no one could touch him. But now, as a prisoner, there were countless people eager to avenge their blood feuds against him. 3 months later, all the rebels were executed, and Great Zhao was completely incorporated into Julia's territory. Soon after, I gave birth to a pair of dragon and phoenix twins. Julia was overjoyed. A man who had experienced hundreds of battles was at a loss when facing the 2 infants. He immediately proclaimed an amnesty for 3 years to celebrate with the whole nation. The children grew up quickly, as if they were stumbling around yesterday, and today they were teenagers standing in the wind. Julia doted on the 2 children extremely. Every few days he would inquire about their studies, and in his spare time, he personally taught them hunting, riding and archery, as well as governing the country and managing the family. In the past few years, the Mashi dynasty developed steadily, and the harem gradually became lively. My favor remained unshaken, and the other concubines also received their share of grace. However, in terms of heirs, there were only my 2 children. On the night of the children's 7th birthday, Julia hugged me from behind and said in a deep voice, Sunur is intelligent and steady. I intend to appoint him as the crown prince. Sunur has a lively personality and loves to act coquettishly. After we pass away, with Sunur ascending the throne, we can ensure Sunur lives a lifetime of safety. My heart was greatly moved and I turned to face him. They are only 7 years old. Our children are worthy of this, he said, lowering his head to kiss my lips. Now you can rest assured. After the clouds cleared and the rain stopped, I fell into a deep sleep. The medical books I had been reading every day since I left for the marriage alliance could now be put down for good.